Hi, hello, and welcome to LearnStroke IAS Classes. 2023 UPSC Prelims has finally come to an end, and I know I've been getting a lot of messages regarding this was a very tough paper. This was a lengthy paper, and everybody's very seriously talking about the cutoffs right now. And in this video, we thought LearnStroke will actually come up with not an explanation, but I'm sure by this time you must have already watched the explanation, the analysis, the answers, etc. I would like to tell you what are the important learnings of 2023 examination and what did UPSC teach you in 2023 prelims exam, and very importantly, what can we expect for the 2024 examination. So it's basically an analysis not of the questions but the important things that every UPSC aspirant should definitely learn here. So let's move on, and I think majority of you will definitely agree that the question paper was really tough, and that is the reason why we say UPSC is always called as the unpredictable service commission, because you cannot predict what they are asking. Like every year people say that this is the toughest paper, and probably next year people will say that no, this is the toughest paper. Every year we can expect the tough paper. So there is nothing to be worried about when you say that paper was tough, because this is the Indian Civil Services examination where lakhs of people are competing. So question paper needs to be tough. But what things have changed? Let's find out. Most of the aspirants who do not have the courage, or who did not approach in the right direction, gets defeated in the first 10 minutes. I am sure there are many people who wrote these civil services prelims examination who got defeated in the first 10 minutes. While you skip your papers, you see that the question was very lengthy. There are questions, the unpredictable pattern. What happens is you lose out your mind, you lose out your confidence. So in 10 minutes, mentally, you accepted defeat. So this has happened to a lot of aspirants, because in this type of question paper, if you do not have that mental balance or the clarity of mind, you cannot solve the questions even if you know all the answers. So the first 10 minutes was really crucial, and it is not only about the subjects, because when you talk about history, geography, economy, Indian polity, environment, science and technology, and current affairs, I felt that the questions were a bit lengthy, but majority of the questions take modern India. Let's take history. The number of questions from modern India were very low. Questions from ancient India, medieval India, and even Indian culture dominated. So last year also, in 2022 also, the number of questions from modern India has come down, but that doesn't mean that next year they will not ask questions on modern India. And likewise, when you talk about polity, economy, the questions were basically a bit tricky questions, but if you can apply your logic, you could have definitely solved. And one thing that I liked about international relations areas is they asked a lot of questions about international news, like which are the areas, like countries and its borders, and what is happening in this part of the world. So these were some of the questions that even IR questions had. And let's not talk about the subjects here, because you must have had enough of your subject explanation. But the question paper was tough, not only because it was the subjects were difficult, but why was the paper tough is, number one, bingo, the strategies here. New type of questions that came in the examination. Previously, since 2011, we have been used to getting questions like 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, and multi-statement questions where you could have eliminated everything very easily. But this time you can see which of the following statements are right. Only 1, only 2, only 3, and only 5, only 4, only 2, only 3. So the biggest drawback of this is, this was a surpriser. This is not the first time that the UPSC is asking this, but the number of questions in this pattern commendably went high. So the problem is, eliminations was eliminated. That is the most popular word now. The elimination technique was eliminated, because if you in this question, with the reference to coal-based thermal power plants, consider the following statements. None of them use seawater, none of them is set up in the water-stressed district, none of them is privately owned. So what is the biggest problem in this? The biggest problem in this, previously, since you know question number 1 was wrong, you could strike off all the questions where 1 came in. You know that question number 3 is wrong. You could strike off all the questions options which had 3. But in this, there is nothing else. You could only solve this question if you know all the answers. That means if you know 1, 2, 3, in the question paper itself, you need to have written whether 1 is right or wrong. There is no point of thinking. You just have to write it. 1 is right or wrong? Right. 2 is right or wrong? Wrong. 3 is right or wrong? Wrong. You have to take the final call in the question paper. And only if you know, when you go for the options, you will actually check which of the following statements are right. In this, out of, say, take an example, 2 statements are wrong and 1 statement is correct. So previously in the other question papers, you had a lot of time, you had a lot of elimination technique, but now you have to take a final call. Before you bubble the answer in the OMR sheet, you need to take a final call. That means decision making is at its best. And you need to know the answers of all the questions also. So this was a big surpriser, and a lot of people might have found it a bit difficult in this. The second type of thing was the assertion and reasoning type of questions. You can see previously they used to ask these questions, and the number of questions used to be very less. But this time, just imagine, they have asked a lot of questions. Switzerland is one of the leading exporters of gold in terms of value. Switzerland has the second largest gold reserve in the world. Okay, obviously they are giving more abstract areas. And you get a question. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, but statement 2 is the correct explanation. Both statement 1 and 2 are correct, but second is not the explanation of statement 1. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 1 is correct. You know, the biggest problem here is you take some time to read this question and immediately you have to take the decision making. Before you go to the option, you take the decision making. You imagine that you found out that statement 1 is wrong, right, and the statement 2 is also right. So that qualifies statement number B. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct, but you do not know whether 2 is the explanation of 1. That means you need to take an extra time to think. I know both the statements are right, but I'm not able to know whether second statement is the explanation of 1. That is taking more time. So these type of questions were dominated in this 2023 prelims examination, and I'll definitely give you solutions also, but this is again increase the toughness level, not because the questions were tough. The questions were very logical, but what happened is many of the aspirants lost out their mind after seeing the question paper. I said they were defeated in the first 10 minutes. That was the real problem. So these were the type of the questions that were a surpriser kind of questions. And also the problem is use speed. What do you mean by use speed? The understanding speed was actually, you need to have a bigger understanding speed. So I feel a bit of the questions were quite lengthy. When these type of questions came, assertion, reasoning, and only 1, 2, and 3 questions, but the problem happens is you have to spend more time on one question to get an answer. That means to get a decision making whether 1, 2, or 3 is correct or not, you need to spend more time on that. So that is the reason why many of the people could not come for the second round, third round, and fourth round, or even there is a third round. You could not. The problem was you have to spend more time on one question. That was a big negative for many aspirants. So what is the learning that you need to have? You need to develop your understanding speed, or the use speed. You need to quickly find out an answer because the time is running out. That was also a big problem that we need to be noting here. And the next important thing was speed. The time management was definitely an issue because when you get a big question like this, the post-pandemic and the central bank type of a question, you need to think. First of all, you need to read the question, then you need to think, then you need to take a decision making, and then you need to find out whether this is the correct explanation of 1. So what happens is you lose out your mind and you spend more time. So speed, 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 that is what I said. As a civil service aspirant in previous examination, concept clarity might have been a very important thing, but from now onwards, I really believe every UPSC aspirant should also have this speed, because you don't get much time in the examination. So your thinking also needs to be more quicker. That is something that we have to be noting here. And moving on to the next important, these were some of the toughest thing that gave a lot of problems to the aspirants. So what is the new important learnings from 2023 examination that you have to apply for 2024 prelims examination? So what can be the learning? So definitely what I told you is speed is number one. Previously, you just need to have the content. From now onwards, it's not the content alone. You need to have the speed. As I said, how quick are you able to understand and decode the answer and take a decision making and bubble it in the OMR sheet? That is speed. And the U speed. What do you mean by U speed? Understanding speed. You have to quickly decode the whole thing. That has also become very, very important. So what are the important learnings? Let's learn. The learning number one is concept clarity is going to be the king in 2024 examination. And I think we should be ready with this. This time they asked this question. Only one, only two, only three and none. And they also asked this assertion reasoning question. Previously, before 2010, you used to get direct questions like who founded Bengal Gazette. There is one answer. And after 2011, slowly they introduced the number of questions that dominated in the UPSC prelims was 1, 2 and 3, 1 and 3. And in 2023, such questions that you see on the screen have dominated. So in 2024, maybe another pattern can also come in. You don't know what is happening. Anything can actually happen. So what is the ultimate solution? Concept clarity is the only solution. Let's not worry about the format of the question. Let's not worry about the framing of the question. What ultimately is mattering is how much concepts you know well. When you have a difficulty in preparing for UPSC, the biggest problem happens is you run behind the framing of the questions. You run behind the trivial issues. Like the framing of the question is very difficult. We have to practice that. But always important is concept clarity. Whether there was a question on Nagoya Protocol, and there was a question on Switzerland and the gold, mercury pollution, and what is happening in Somalia, international relations. So there were many questions where your concept clarity was needed. Do you have that concept clarity is something that we should be planning and learning from 2023. Concept clarity, have a clarity on every topic that you read. If you have the topic, if you know about the topic completely, then let them ask any format that you want. We should be able to answer it. So if you are very sure about the content, the framing isn't very difficult. So that is very, very important. So that means concept clarity, build concept clarity. And it's a very interesting thing that I've showed you here. Be ready for all the formats here. Right now, I've shown you one-day international match, a test match, and a T20 match. What is all? What is this all about? It's basically all about everything that is actually showing here is about cricket. You need to play cricket. You know that one-day international is entirely different from the test match, and to T20 format is entirely different. But what do you ultimately do? You ultimately play cricket. So I am asking you, the learning of this exam should be actually, you should learn to play cricket. That means you should be ready with the content. You should learn the syllabus completely and try to practice in different formats. Whether you play it in the one-day international, you have a different format because 50 hours you played, and in the test matches, you know that you have to survive for 2, 3, 4 days. And in 2020, you know that you don't have much time left. You have to be quick. So whatever be the format of the examination, the different type of questions that they ask, we should be ready to play on. That is my humble suggestion to all of you. So let's build the concept clarity here and play on. That is important. And the next important learning is newspaper reading is very, very important. And building a strong perspective is important. And many questions asked in the 2023 examination, prelims examination, take out majority of the questions, you will see that they appeared in the newspaper. So don't think that I'm reading a current affairs compilation, I'm reading a current affairs magazine or a current affairs notes. Please do read that. Always treat that as a supplementary book, but that is not substituting the newspaper reading. A lot of people are not understanding this fact. They never read newspapers because say that I don't have 3 hours, 2 hours time. But please trust me, the 3 hours or 3.5 hours that you are spending in the newspaper every day is worth your preparation, because they can ask you abstract questions which will not be there in the current affairs magazine that you read. So don't expect that I've read a current affairs magazine, my current affairs preparation is complete. No. You decide, go with the newspapers, try to get the perspectives, because majority of the questions are framed from the newspaper, which are readily picked from the newspaper. So do not take a chance, and this is a very strong learning. Read the newspaper. That is very, very important, and it should be a part of your habit also. So don't take it lightly. The current affairs magazines are all secondary sources, so please do remember about that. And next is all about practice is the key, because practice a day keeps the failure away, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Like practice every day. Just like I said, let it be the different formats of the game. Practice every type of formats. From now onwards, what will happen? Everybody will start planning with these type of questions. Everybody will start start solving with 1, 2, and 3 and statement type of questions. But the problem is going to be next time they can ask something else. So it's better practice in all manner. Do it accordingly. And next is revision is the best medicine. So always remember, you aren't a supercomputer. You have to revise well, because since they are asking a lot of general questions, you will read a lot. And what happens is, when you read a lot in 1 week, in the 8th day, you will forget everything. So do periodic revisions and make sure that you remember all the points. That will definitely help you in the prelims examination. So that is one important learning. And the next, and probably one of the last thing, is wide reading, especially when you handle current affairs. So always understand, the picture rightly shows it, how the man is throwing the nets in the sea. Nothing is unimportant, because if a topic is actually there in the UPSC syllabus, if you can relate the topic as a part of the UPSC syllabus, everything is important and nothing is unimportant. So try to read vastly, because a lot of questions like the arable land of India and China, and the productivity of India and China's agriculture, where can you find all this information in the books? No, all these things normally appear in the newspaper. So have a wide kind of a reading, throw the nets wide, and whatever fits in the syllabus of the exam, try to fit it, because that will definitely help you to increase your range, increase your target of preparation. So have a wide reading from current affairs topics also. So these were some of the most important learnings that we have to tell. Please do understand and try to do this for 2024 examination. It will definitely help you also. So subscribe to our channel, LearnStroke IAS Classes by Arjun, and definitely for 2024, we do have our prelims test series, the mains answer writing program, and also for a super mentoring program where you need where you only need mentoring and guidance. So definitely there is a complete module for that. And 2024 batch for online and offline, we are ready. You can call in the numbers that is being flashing on the screen, and please do watch more classes and subscribe the channel. And I hope you learn all the learnings of 2023 prelims examination.